students, welcome to our very first episodes of English. My name is Ms. Noha Muhammad and I'm going to be with you. I will teach you English on Madrasetna 3 for first secondary. أهلا بيكم في أولى حلقات اللغة الإنجليزية للصف الأول الثانوي. أنا مس نوها محمد وهبقى معاكم إن شاء الله في مادة اللغة الإنجليزية تحت إشراف ورعاية وزارة التربية والتعليم. Let's get introduced to our book and let's know what is in this book. So today we're going to start new Hello book. This book has certain skills. Let's have a look at these skills together. So if we have a look here, we have some skills that the book works on. What are these skills? We have reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So whenever we take a new unit, we're going to tackle all these four skills. دايما لما هناخد يونت جديد معانا في الكتاب هنتكلم في اليونت عن reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So what are the contents of the book? ايه اللي موجود في الكتاب معانا؟ We have in the first term, we have 6 units and we have 2 reviews, revisions, and we have a story. Our story is called Treasure Island. Now, Unit 1, what are the objectives of Unit 1? ايه هي أهداف والوحدة الأولى؟ So, first we have reading. So it's an article about ecotourism, 2 blogs about summer holidays. The writing, we're going to learn together how to write an essay on ecotourism. The listening part is going to be a story about traveling and what happened when something went wrong. Speaking, we're going to be able to work together and describe an event. And then last but not least, it's the language, past simple and past continuous. Now the language here is very important because it helps us understand and write essays. اللغة هنا الجرامر مهم جدا عشان بيساعدنا ان احنا نعرف ازاي نقدر نتكلم بلغة صحيحة وازاي نكتب بأسلوب صحيح. Now, let's have a look at the life skills. We have life skills that we're going to learn and here is going to be collaboration. ازاي نقدر نتعاون مع بعض لحل مشكلة ما. So, here we have the first unit is called getting away. Here the word getting away has many meanings, but we're going to look at the meaning that we want through the book. تعالوا نشوف مع بعض getting away هنا معناها ايه. So here the first thing is getting away. We have a question to start with. عندنا سؤال هنبدأ بيه. Before you start, discuss these questions in pairs. تعالوا نشوف ايه هي الأسئلة. Why are tourists very important for a country? ليه السائحين مهمين جدا لبلد ما؟ If we think together about tourists, why are they important? Of course, tourists are important because they help us increase our income. بيساعدوا على إن إحنا نحسن دخل البلد. Where do tourists go in Egypt? بيروحوا فين ال tourists in Egypt? When they come to visit Egypt, where do they go? We have lots of beautiful places here in Egypt that they can visit. Alexandria, Luxor, Aswan, many places. Now, are a lot of tourists always a good thing for a country and why? Tourists, when they come to the country, if they are a lot, is this good? Of course, sometimes it isn't. And we're going to know later why a lot of tourists are not good for the country. Now, before we start with the reading part, we need to talk about the title. The title says, Getting Away. So what does it mean to get away? Get away here means to go somewhere out of your country. إن إحنا نخرج أو نروح مكان بعيداً عن البلد اللي إحنا فيها. So, let's have a look at this new slide that is going to tell us about the reading part. The title here is called Ecotourism. Is this the future? So that is the title of the reading. And before we start, I want to discuss some points with you. Whenever we read a passage, we have to look for things. لما دايما بنقرأ passage قدامي لازم أعمل حاجتين. أول حاجة أنا the first time I'm going to skim the text. Skim means to look for the main idea. أنا هقرأ التكست and then I'm going to look for the main idea. هحاول أفهم المعنى overall. مش مهم خالص إن أنا أعرف كل كلمة معناها إيه. You just take the overall meaning. And then the second time I have to read for the second time in order to know what this text is about and try to get the answers. تاني مرة هقرا بعمل scanning. السكاننج ده بحاول أطلع بيه الإجابات بتاعة الأسئلة اللي عندي. Let's have a look. So what is ecotourism? Ecotourism معناها إيه؟ معناها السياحة البيئية. The holidays are designed to have a limited impact on the local environment. هنا مش بنروح عشان نأثر على الانفايرمنت أو البيئة هناك. Okay? And to educate tourists about conservation. بيحاولوا في الايكوتوريزم السياحة البيئية إن إحنا نعلم التورستس عن الحفاظ على البيئة conservation. Alright, Egypt is developing ecotourism to protect environment along the Red Sea coast. هنا بيحاولوا Egypt بتحاول بتحاول تطور السياحة البيئية to protect عشان تحمي environment along to the Red Sea coast. Tourists can stay in hotels built of environmentally friendly natural materials. So what does Egypt try to do? They make hotels that they are eco-friendly, أصدقاء للبيئة، مفيش wastes in order to try to protect the environment in Egypt. When tourists go diving, they are taught how to avoid damaging the fish and keeping the special coral reefs safe. معناه ايه الكلام ده؟ معناه انه السائحين لما بيروحوا يعملوا دايفنج، لما بيعملوا الغطس، they are taught بيعلموهم ازاي يحموا الكورال ريفز الشعب المرجانيه، وكمان يقوموا بحمايه الاسماك، ان هم ما يضروش الشعب المرجانيه ولا الاسماك. طيب let's have a look at the next thing here. It's Madagascar is famous for its ecotourism and wants to protect its ecosystem. هنا مدغشقر is famous for مشهورة بإيه؟ بالسياحة again السياحة البيئية and wants to protect its ecosystem النظام البيئي، عايزين يحموا النظام البيئي. The animals, what is ecosystem? The ecosystem, the animals and the plants in its environment. 80% of the animals and 90% of the plants that live there don't exist anywhere else in the world. معناه ايه الكلام ده؟ انه عندنا 80% من الحيوانات and 90% من 90% من النباتات اللي بتعيش هناك مش موجودة في أي حتة تانية في العالم. Lemurs, for example, only live in Madagascar. If you check the picture with me, these animals are called the lemurs. حيوان الليمر مش موجود في أي حتة غير في مدغشقر. So, the Galapagos Islands in Ecuador are famous for the unique animals, such as the giant turtles which live there. عندنا هنا Galapagos Islands in Ecuador في بلد الإكوادور مشهورين بإيه؟ بالانيمالز اللي مش موجودين في أي حتة تانية، زي إيه؟ giant turtles which live there. Now, moving to somewhere else, the Komodo National Park in Indonesia is a popular ecotourism destination. So, الكومودو ناشونال بارك في اندونيسيا مكان مشهور جدا بالسياحة البيئية. Most of Indonesia's endangered wildlife, including the Komodo dragon, can only be found here. عندنا هنا some of the animals اللي هو ايه زي الكومودو دراجون موجودين بس في اندونيسيا in the Komodo National Park. What's the meaning of endangered? Endangered means they are facing the danger of extinction. They are going to stop existing from the world. Including the Komodo dragon can only be found here. The national park is also famous for its beach with pink sand. So this park has a beach that has pink sand. It's famous for it. Famous for means مشهورة بيه. Okay, so now we are done with the reading part. Have we understood all the words? Not necessarily. We need to try to understand the overall meaning of the text. Now, let's take a further look towards the vocabulary. So, we have vocabulary. The first word, get away. What does it mean? Try to remember. So, go somewhere for a holiday. Getting away here means to go somewhere for a holiday. Endangered. Endangered. What's the meaning of endangered? Facing the danger of disappearing forever. مهددة بالخطر. Isolated. Isolated. Far away from other places. معزولة. Not near any other place. Impact. Impact. So impact means an effect. تأثير or أثر. ecotourism. The whole passage was about ecotourism. By now, we know the meaning of ecotourism. What does it mean? Ecotourism, it's a type of holiday that helps local people and does not harm natural environment. What does that mean? It's called السياحة البيئية. Moving to a new word, environment, the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. البيئة, what's around you, all what's around us, from plants and animals. Materials, so the matter from which a thing is made of. المواد. Unique, unlike anything else, فريدة من نوعها. Sustainable, able to continue without causing damage to the environment. مستدامة, no damage to the environment. Conservation, prevention of waste or loss. الحفاظ على. Okay, now it's time for answering some questions. So it says here, read the text again and answer the questions. And here is the scanning part. هنا بعمل scanning. I go back to the text and try to find the answers of the questions. Let's have a look. So what is ecotourism? What is ecotourism? So ecotourism is holidays designed to have a limited impact on the local environment. Which country does what? Which country has giant turtles living there? Think with me. So which country is it? The Galapagos Islands in Ecuador. Which country has hotels built of environmentally friendly materials? Let's remember together, and if you don't remember, we go back to the text. So it is Egypt. Which country has a beach with pink sand? It is Indonesia. Which country wants to protect its lemurs? Where were the lemurs? Remember with me. It's in Madagascar. All right, so let's have a look here, and here we're going to choose the best answer. What do eco-tourists often do? They stay in hotels, they learn new things about keeping the environment safe, or they visit traditional villages. What's the answer? Of course, they learn new things about keeping the environment safe. Moving to another question. Which sentence best summarizes the text? And this is very important. What's the meaning of summarize? Gives me the main idea of the text. إيه الجملة اللي بتلخص الباسج كلها. Okay? After reading, we understand, and then we read the options or the choices together, and then decide what the answer is. Let's have a look. So we have, every country needs some tourists. Is this what the text was about? Let's go to the next one. Ecotourism provides holidays without harming the environment. And then the last one, there should be no tourists in some places. So which one is it? The whole passage, the title of it, what was it about? Of course, it was about ecotourism. So ecotourism provides holidays without harming the environment. Now, moving to another type of questions. Here it says, choose the correct answer. And here it is related to the vocabulary we've just talked about. So, some animals live in endangered, isolated, unique parts of the world, and people never see them, never see them. Here we have to look for keywords. لازم ندور في السنتنس على حاجة تديني معنى vocabulary word تساعدني. So here we have people never see them. So if people never see them, are they endangered? Are they isolated or unique? Of course it is isolated. Very good. So number 2, the natural world around us is the natural world around us is the environment, materials, or ecotourism. So the world around us, what is it? Of course, it is the environment. Very good. Number 3, we need to be sure that tourism here is endangered, sustainable, unique, otherwise people will stop coming. So what do we have to have in order to make people keep coming? So here, tourism has to be, of course, sustainable. All right, moving to number 4. The tourists' visit to that place had a big impact, conservation, sustainable on the local town. So tourists' visit here, it had a big what? Can I say big conservation? Can I say big sustainable? Of course not. So what do I say? I say a big impact, effect. Number 5, it is important to only use local impact, unique materials when building an eco hotel. So if I'm building something, I have to have or use local. Is it impact, unique, or materials? Of course, the answer is materials. All right. Now, we have talked about the vocabulary. Something very important also to talk about. It's called derivative. In the English language, we have many forms of the word. عندنا أشكال كتير جدا للكلمة. So the word derivative in English is taken from the verb derive. Derive means to take from. This means it changes. So I can take a word, when I add something to it or remove something else, it becomes a whole new part of speech. So when we talk about derivatives, let's see the forms that we have. So we have a verb, فعل, a noun, اسم, adjective, صفة. What's an adjective? It's a word that describes the noun. كلمة بتوصف الكلمة أو صفة بتصف الكلمة. So we have verbs, nouns, adjective. Now let's have a look at what we're supposed to do. So we have conserve. Conserve is a verb. Conserve means يحافظ على. What's the noun of it? Conservationist. Conservationist. What's the adjective of it? Conservative. Okay? Conservative. Or conservative. Both are pronounced the same. So, verb, noun, adjective. Now, let's go to the next one. Here we have design. Design, again, is a verb. So, what's the noun of it? It is designer. What's the adjective of it? Is designed. Develop, يطور. So, what's the noun? We have actually here we have two nouns. So, the first noun we have development, تطوير. Developer is the person who develops. المطور. Okay, and the adjective is developed. Endanger, this is the verb. We have the noun, endangerment, and then the adjective, endangered. I describe the animal, I say this is an endangered animal. أنا هنا بوصف الanimal بقول he is or it is endangered. Now, moving to another word, isolate, يعزل. So here the verb isolate, and then the noun, isolation, and then the adjective, isolated. Now, the last one here, we have protect, يحمي, protection, and protected. How does this come to me? How do I answer such an exercise? Now, let's have a look together. Now, this exercise, it says, choose the correct answer. Choose the correct answer. Now, let's see how we're going to do that together. Number one, space tries to do their best, or try to do their best to protect the environment. So try to do their best. بيحاولوا يعملوا أكتر حاجة يقدروا عليها. So here, am I talking about the verb? Do I need a verb here? هل أنا محتاجة هنا verb? Conserve, try to do their best. Doesn't match. Conservative, this is the adjective. Do I need an adjective here? No. So here the answer is going to be conservationists. So I read the sentence very well. بقرا sentence كويس قوي وأشوف أنا هنا محتاجة verb or adjective or a noun. Let's move to number two. The government must make strict laws to protect space animals. الحكومة لازم تعمل قوانين عشان تحمي space animals. And animals دي هنا عندي noun. It's a noun. So what do I need to put before a noun to describe it? Of course, I have to put an adjective. So let's have a look. Can I say in danger? This is a verb. Do I use it here? Okay, so the second part, it says endangered. So this is the adjective. And then the last one, endangerment. This is the noun. So which word do I use here? Of course, I use the adjective. So I say the government must make strict laws to protect endangered animals. Here I am describing the animals. بوصف هنا الحيوانات إنها مهددة بخطر الانقراض أو مهددة بالخطر. Now, moving to number three, we have ecotourism provides holidays to space places. Ecotourism, السياحة البيئية بتوفر holidays لأماكن. So here again, holidays, this is a noun. And if I'm describing a noun, I need to put a verb or an adjective or a noun, another noun. Of course, it has to be an adjective. So here, let's read the words together. Isolate, isolation, or isolated. So which one is it? Of course, it's going to be isolated. So ecotourism provides holidays to isolated places. Moving to something very, very important. Here we have language functions. or language. So the language is basically the grammar. Why is grammar important? ليه الجرامر بالنسبة لنا مهم؟ Grammar is important because it helps us master two of the main skills that we use in English. What are these skills? Speaking and writing. If I need to write, I need to have good structure, sentence structure to be able to write properly. لازم عشان أقدر أكتب كويس، أكتب essay كويس، لازم يبقى عندي sentence structure كويس. So grammar helps me do this. If I'm speaking، لو أنا بتكلم مع حد in English, I need again to speak properly. How do I do that? If I have correct sentence structure, and this comes from the grammar. So the lesson that we're going to have today together is the past simple and the past continuous. Okay? الماضي البسيط والماضي المستمر. Now, if you have a look at the screen, you're going to find our timeline. Now, let's have a look at the timeline. Here you have the present, الحاضر. If you can see the line, it's vertical, it's standing this way. This is the present. And then we have this way, the right side, my right side. We have the future. Future means what? It means المستقبل. Okay? And then my left side, you're going to have the past. So, what is my timeline today? Which part of the timeline am I going to speak about? I'm going to speak about the past. If you have a look at the screen, you can find the blue X. This is my timeline. This is what I'm going to talk about today. So, first we're going to start talking about the past simple. The past simple. So, what's the past simple? And when do I use it? Okay, let's have a look here. So, the past simple is used for completed actions in the past. What does this mean? An action that happened in the past and was finished in the past. So I use the past simple to talk about an action that started and was finished in the past. Action حصل في الماضي وخلص في الماضي. Let's have a look at the example. Luca trekked into the forest this morning. Luca مشي into the forest this morning. So this action happened in the past and was finished in the past. No more. It is not going on. Okay? All right. Let's go to the second use. The second use is called past habits. What's the meaning of habits? What does it mean? Habits means things that you used to do in the past. عادات كنت بعملها في الباست في الماضي. Do they still happen? Are they going on? They are not. They are finished. They happened in the past and were finished in the past. Not anymore. Now let's have a look at the example. So when he was young, he practiced the guitar every Tuesday. When he was young, he practiced the guitar every Tuesday. What does this mean? Or what am I saying? لما كان صغير كان بيتمرن على الجيتار كل يوم تلات. Every Tuesday. Now, this happened in the past. Does he still do that now? Not anymore. This was in the past and was finished in the past. Okay? Now, before I start showing you the form. Now, whenever we take a tense, we have to take three things in the tense. First thing is the affirmative, second thing the interrogative, and the third thing is the negative. What does this mean? Affirmative الجملة المثبتة. The second thing the negative الجملة المنفية, and then the interrogative when I'm asking a question لما بسأل سؤال. Now before going to this form, I need you to have a look at the screen. You're going to tell me what the form is. Let's have a look at the example. The example says Luca trekked into the forest this morning. Where is the verb here? فين الفعل هنا؟ The verb is trekked. Okay, now let's go to the next example. When he was young, he practiced the guitar every Tuesday. So where's the verb here? The verb here, actually we have two verbs. The first verb is was. The second verb is practiced. Now let's have a look at the two verbs trekked and practiced. What can you see common here? If you have a look, you're going to find something common between the two verbs. Yes, of course. Both of them end with the ed. So from what we've just seen, the form of the past simple takes what at the end? It takes ed. Very good. Let's have a look at the form. So the first part of the form, we have the affirmative. Now let's have a look at the affirmative. How do I make the affirmative? If a verb ends in e, you add d. If I have a verb ending in e, let's have a look at the screen. Like ends in e, it's a verb ending in e. So if I have a verb ending in e, what do I add at the end? I just add what? I just add d. Okay? So if I have a verb ending in e, I add d. Like live, live ends in E. What do I add to form the past simple? I add D. Moving to another case. If a verb ends in a vowel and a consonant, the consonant is usually doubled before adding ed. Let's remember together what the vowels are. The vowels are 5. A, E, I, O, U. These are the vowels. The rest of the alphabet is consonants. Okay? So if a verb ends in a vowel and a consonant, so if I have a vowel and then after it I have a consonant, the consonant is usually doubled before adding ed. Let's have a look at the verb on the screen. It's called stop. If you have a look at stop, stop ends with O, we have a vowel, and then P is a consonant. How do I form the past simple? I double the last letter, the P, and then I put E, D. So I have to double the last letter and put E, D. All right, moving to another case. If a verb ends in Y, you take off the Y and add IED. Now, if I have a verb and this verb ends in Y, I have to check the letter before the Y. Let's have a look at the screen. Here we have carry. It ends with Y. The letter before the Y is an R. This is a consonant. So what do? I cross the Y and put I-E-D. What if there is a vowel, not a consonant? Let's have a look. So if the verb ends in a vowel and Y, I have to add ed. I keep the Y as it is and add ed. So play, here it ends in Y. The letter before the Y is a vowel. I leave the vowel as it is and then I put ed. Moving to the negative form. تعالوا نشوف الفورم النيجاتيف النفي بنعمله ازاي. So we add the subject plus did not plus the verb. So I put the subject, he, she, it, or the name of the person, and then I put did not or didn't, and then I put the verb as it is, nothing after it. Let's have a look. I did not or didn't need help. Can I say needed, didn't needed? No, I don't say that. So I did not need help. Moving to another point. Moving to the interrogative. Interrogative here is the question, when you're asking a question. نسأل سؤال. طيب, let's have a look. We add did, subject, verb. So what do I start with? This time I have to start with did. I bring did at the beginning, and then I put the subject and then the verb. Let's have a look at the example. Did they have a party? And then I have a question mark. So I start with did, then the subject they, and then the verb have. Let's notice together. تعالوا ناخد بالنا مع بعض. لما حطينا negative ولما حطينا interrogative لما حطينا didn't أو did, what did we do to the verb? Did we add anything to the verb? We did not. ما حطيناش أي حاجة على الverb when we make the interrogative and the negative. نحط الverb زي ما هو. You put the verb as it is. Alright. Now, the passive form. What's the meaning of passive form? Let's have a look at this. It is formed by the object was, were, past participle. Was and were is the past simple of verb to be. عندي verb to be في البريزنت بيبقى am is are. طيب what is the past? Was or were. Okay? I, we, they, you, he, she, it. So they, we, and you takes were, and then I, was, he, was, she, was. Okay? Alright. So it is formed by the object was or were plus the past participle. Let's have a look how. The police caught the thief. Here I have the police is the subject, caught is the verb, and then the thief is the object. I want to make the passive form. If you make the passive form, we have to switch. So what do? I start with the object and then put the subject at the end. How? I start with the thief. Type. If I start with the thief, how do I form the verb? I say the thief and then I put was or were depending on the object, and then I say caught, the past participle, by the police. So I started with the thief, look at the screen, and then I brought was or were, and then the past participle, and then the subject. All right, let's go to another example. Ben drove the car. Let's pause here. I want you to do that with me. So where is the object? The object here is the car. So I start with the car. The car takes was or were, takes was. So I say the car was. What's the past participle of drive or drove? It is driven. So the car was driven by, and then I mentioned the subject, Ben. The car was driven by Ben. Okay? So this is the past simple. Now moving to the past continuous. الماضي المستمر. It's something that was going on in the past and it took some time. Let's have a look. So if we check the timeline, we're still in the past. Go to the left side. We're still in the past, but here the cross, it's in the middle, and you can see the semicircle going back and forth because it took some time. It did not finish. All right. So let's have a look at the use. بنستخدم ال past continuous في إيه؟ So we use the past continuous to show that an action was in progress at a certain time. What does this mean? أنا بستخدم ال past continuous عشان show an action، حاجة حصلت في وقت معين في الباست، كنت عارفة الوقت اللي حصل فيه. Like what? At 6 o'clock yesterday, I was looking at the orangutans in the zoo. أنا الساعة 6 yesterday. If I say yesterday only, do I know the time? I don't. لو قلت yesterday بس أنا مش عارفة الوقت. But if I say at 6 o'clock yesterday, this means I know the time. يبقى هنا الأمر اختلف تماما. If I say yesterday only, it's going to be past simple. But if I say at 6 o'clock yesterday, it's going to be past continuous. Now, we use the past continuous with the past simple to show that a shorter action happened during another longer action. Let's stop here for a while. This is very important. Sometimes in the past continuous, we're going to have two actions happening together. عندي two actions حصلوا في الباست. One happened before the other one. We have action 1 and we have action 2. So let's have a look at the example and you will tell me what we're going to do. So the example says, I was leaning out of the boat when I dropped my camera. أنا كنت ببص برا البوت when I dropped my camera. وقعت الكاميرا بتاعتي. Which action happened first? Dropping the camera or leaning out of the boat? Of course, leaning out is action 1. And then where's action 2? Action 2 is dropped my camera. طيب, let's have a look together. تعالوا نبص مع بعض على sentence تاني. إذن I have leaning, was leaning, this is action 1. And then dropped, action 2. طب dropped, we have just taken the past simple. Which one of them is the past simple? Of course, it is dropped. So, from what we have just seen here, من اللي احنا لسه شايفينه مع بعض هنا, was leaning, what is this? This is in the past continuous. And then dropped, it's in which tense? It's the past simple. So, action 1 goes which tense? Past continuous. Action 2 takes which tense? Past simple. While I was writing on the board, the bell rang. وأنا بكتب على البورد إيه اللي حصل؟ The bell rang. Action 1 was writing. Action 2, the bell rang. So action 1, past continuous. Action 2, past simple. Moving to another case. So what are the key words? What are the time expressions that help me out? We have while, as, just as, when, and during. We use these words or time expressions with the past continuous. Now let's have a look. So while or as or just as or when I was going home, I met one of my best friends. Let's stop here for a while. تعالوا نبص مع بعض تاني. عندي هنا فين؟ عندي was going. This is action 1 and then action 2 met. This is action 2. Action 1 عندي past continuous. Action 2 past simple. وهنا met is an irregular verb. It does not take ed. So met is the past of meet. So let's have a look at the second example. When I returned home, mother was preparing lunch. لما رجعت البيت ماما كانت بتحضر الأكل. إيه اللي حصل الأول? What happened first? Of course, mom preparing lunch, and then the second action is returned home. So note that we use the first action in the past continuous. So here we have while is followed by verb ing in case there is no subject after it. لو أنا ما عنديش subject بعد while بحط verb ing من غير was or were خالص. So how? Let's have a look. While having lunch, someone knocked on the door of our flat. Let's have a look. After while عندي أي subject؟ عندي he or she or a name. I don't have any subject. لو عندي while وبعدها مفيش subject بحط الverb ing without was or were. ما بحطش was or were خالص. While walking the forest, I spotted an orangutan. While walking, ليه حطينا هنا walking فين was or were؟ ما عنديش was or were. Why? Because I don't have a subject. ما عنديش أي نوع من أنواع subjects. مفيش اسم, مفيش he, مفيش pronoun. Alright, moving to another case. During can give the meaning of while. The word during gives me the meaning of while. بتديني معنى while, okay? But it is followed by a noun. دايما بعد during بيجيلي noun. What's the meaning of noun? Noun means اسم. Let's have a look. During the party, we saw most of our old friends. So during جه بعدها ايه هنا؟ جه بعدها noun وعملت separation بكوما. لو الكي word أو التايم expression جه في أول الجملة I have to separate the two sentences with a comma. بحط comma في النص. لو keyword جت في النص I don't put any commas. Okay? So after during I have to put a noun بعدين separate with a comma وبكمل عادي الجملة in the past simple. We can have two actions in the past continuous if they are happening at the same time. Let's stop here for a while. Two actions in the past, both of them happening at the same time, moving together. They are moving together at the same time. مفيش أي interruption. مفيش حاجة حصلت قبل حاجة. If the two actions are happening together, both actions are put in the past continuous. Let's have a look at the example. We were tidying our room while our little brother was watching TV. هنا حصل إيه؟ إحنا بننظف الأوضة بتاعتنا وأخونا كان بيتفرج على التلفزيون. في أي interruption؟ مفيش. في أي حد عمل action قبل التاني؟ ما حصلش. So two actions happening together at the same time, both of them walking together, past continuous. So here we have while. Can you see the arrows? They are moving to the right side, both of them happening together. So tidy the room, watch TV, both are moving together, both are in the past continuous. So some verbs are not used in the continuous form. Let's stop here for a while. A verb is an action. الverb بيبقى عبارة عن action، حاجة بتتعمل. طب some verbs are not actions, right? When I say feel, when I say want, when I say like, can you act like? Can you act want? Can you act verb to be? I can't do any of those. So these are called state verbs or stative verbs. The state verbs or the stative verbs, they don't come in the ing form. Okay? They don't come in the continuous form. They are used in the simple form. I don't say I was wanting this. I say I wanted this. Okay? I don't say this was seeming. We say this seemed strange. So the stative verbs don't come in the ing form. While I was at home, my uncle suddenly returned from Italy. I can say was returning. So let's have a look here. We use while, past continuous, and the other side, past simple, and I separate with a comma. While, past continuous, if the two actions are moving together at the same time. And then we have during, goes with the noun. I slept during the match. And then we have the last thing, while, if there is no subject, I don't put was or were. I put ing. While doing the homework, the bell rang. And let's have a look at that example. While comes at the beginning of the sentence. If it's at the beginning of the sentence, I have to separate using a what? A comma. So here I have a comma after homework. Now, we have taken the past continuous. We didn't take the form. By now, you should know the form from what we've just taken in the examples. تعالوا نبص على example منهم كده. While doing the homework, no, let's go to the first example. While I was at home, my uncle suddenly returned from Italy. So both of them here are in the past simple. Now let's go to see the form of the past continuous. So what is the form? The first form, we have the subject or the pronoun or the name with was or were plus verb plus ing. Now, let's have a look here. I was going to, and then the object goes after it. I was going to school. So I have I goes with was or were, it goes with was. So I was, and then verb ing, going to school. Let's go to the negative form. So the negative is exactly the same, but I put not. So instead of saying was, I say was not or wasn't, were not or weren't. So here I say I was not going to school. And then the question, I start with was and were. I start with was and were. So instead of starting with a subject, I start with was and were and say was or were, subject, verb ing, object, question mark. Let's have a look. Was I going to school? Question mark. Now, we are done with the two tenses together. Now, the most important part, the practicing part. Now, let's see how we can answer questions related to the past. So, here it says, choose the correct answer to complete the sentence. While go or going out, the bell rang. So, while out, the bell rang. And let's remember something very important. Do we have a subject here? While going. Where is the subject? No subject. If I have no subject and I have while, I have to choose what? Of course, going, the ing. Let's move to number 2. Salma traveled or was traveling around Indonesia when she broke her leg. What happened first? She break the leg or travel? Of course, travel happened first. It has to be in the past continuous. So what do I choose? I choose was traveling. Yesterday we saw or were seeing some beautiful fish in the Red Sea. Here let's stop. I have yesterday امبارح. Do I have a specific time? عندي وقت محدد? I don't have a specific time. So which one do I use? Which tense? Of course I use the past simple. So we saw. The tourists didn't enjoy or weren't enjoying swimming in the sea. It was too dirty. So here what do I do? Now it was too dirty. It's something that happened in the past and was finished in the past. So what do I choose? Of course, past simple. Didn't enjoy. Number 5. While I was doing or did my homework, mother was preparing lunch. بعمل الواجب، ماما بتحضر الغدا. What happened? What happened? They are moving together. So I have to choose past continuous. So it has to be was doing. Now let's move to the board in order to read about the blogs for 2 different people. Now let's have a look at the blogs for holidays. So we have 2 questions here. What do you usually do during your school holidays? دايما بنعمل ايه في الاجازات؟ How do you feel during school holidays? طيب بنحس بايه؟ بتشعر بايه؟ Of course you're going to be happy. You have no school. Now let's have a look at this blog. This is me on our hotel balcony in Sharm el-Sheikh. It's brilliant. Brilliant is used when you want to say that something is good. It's amazing. So here and there are loads of things to do. Loads of things means a lot of things. حاجات كتير قوي نعملها. I'm so excited to visit Egypt. The weather is really hot, so we spend most of the time in the water. الجو حر قوي, so what do? They spend most of the time in the water. My sister and I are learning to dive with some other teenagers at the resort. أنا وأختي بنتعلم ازاي ندايف، نقوم برياضة الغطس with some other teenagers. Teenagers المراهقين. Teens اللي هم between teen 13 19. So these are the teenagers at the resort في المنتجع. I love diving. It is so relaxing. بيبعث بالهدوء. And you can see all these amazing fish in the sea. I want to get an underwater camera so I can take photos of them. عايز يجيب underwater camera عشان يقدر يصور things underwater in the fish. Last week we were in Luxor and visited the ancient temples there. راحوا الأقصر and وزاروا ancient temples. Ancient القديمة. I'm not usually interested in history. Not interested means مش مهتم. But I actually في الحقيقة found them fascinating. Fascinating means amazing. And I am really glad we went. Glad means happy, pleased, مبسوط. So let's look at the vocabulary. So we have loads of things. What does it mean? كتير, حاجات كتيرة. Loads means a lot. Over the moon. Over the moon here is an expression. What is it used for? Over the moon means إنه مبسوط جدا. It's an expression that we use to say that you are so happy. مبسوط. Brilliant. Resort منتجع. Teenagers المراهقين. Again we said they are between the age of 13 to 19. Dive يقوم بالغطس. We have excited متحمس. Ancient قديم. Interested مهتم. Actually في الحقيقة or in fact in English. Fascinating, amazing. Glad means happy. Now, let's have a look at the second blog. Day 10 of my summer holiday. I'm so bored. All my friends are away or busy with their family and I'm stuck here at home. So I'm so bored, ملان زهقان. I'm stuck here at home. I'm stuck here. This is another expression used to say that you have nowhere to go. مفيش حتة أروحها. موجود هنا. Here at home. The weather is awful. وحش جدا. And there is nothing to do. Last week I went to stay with my grandparents for a few days, which was nice. راح عشان هيقعد مع grandparents بتوعه. But they live in a tiny village. Tiny means really small. Village, قرية. With no shops. I was helping granddad in his garden most of the time. He grows all his own vegetables. He says it's cheaper than buying them. Cheaper means أرخص. You pay less money. Maybe I'll try to grow some lettuce in our garden when it stops raining. I was watching a program كان بيتفرج على برنامج on TV this morning about gardening. Maybe I'll have a new hobby. Gardening هنا الزراعة، hobby هواية. يمكن هي دي تبقى الهواية الجديدة بتاعته the gardening. Moving to the vocabulary. I'm stuck. I have nowhere to go. Stuck here means I have nowhere to go. Pay attention because these expressions we're going to need in the writing. هنحتاج ال expressions دي لما نيجي نكتب ال essays. Alright, tiny, very small. Village, قرية. Cheaper, you pay less money. Okay, and the opposite of it is expensive, غالي. So cheap, رخيص. Expensive, غالي. We have program. Program means برنامج. Gardening, all what you need to know about planting. Okay, we have hobby, هواية, things that you can do, things that interest you. And I want you here to have a look. Here it says blogs often use idioms. دايما لما بنتكلم على blog في البلوجز دايما بتبقى personal, a bit personal, فبنستخدم expressions or idioms. What's the meaning of expressions and idioms? They are words that give me a meaning بس لوحدهم if you read them they are completely different. Okay, so when you read over the moon, what does it mean? What meaning does it give? It gives you the meaning that you're very excited or that you are so happy. And then we have I'm stuck. What's the meaning of I'm stuck? I'm forced to stay here. أنا مجبر إن أنا أفضل في مكان ما. Loads of things. Loads. Loads here means what? A lot of things. حاجات كتير جدا. So let's see how we can use the vocabulary in a certain exercise. So here it says, choose the correct answer. Sitting on the beach watching the sunset is very relaxing, noisy, quiet. When you sit on the beach, لما نقعد على البيتش ونتفرج على السانسيت, what is this? Of course it is relaxing. Very good. Number 2, the power was cut off and Ben was spaced in the elevator for 2 hours. What does it mean? الكهرباء اتقطعت and Ben was in the place, in the elevator, في الأسانسير for 2 hours. So is it pleased, happy? Is it stuck or relaxing? Of course it is stuck. So he was stuck in the elevator. Moving to number 3, I was very happy when I passed my exams. I was spaced. Let's look for the clue here, something that tells me what the answer is. تعالوا نبص هنا مع بعض. I was very happy. So which choice from this gives me the meaning of happy? We have on air, under the sun, or over the moon. Of course, the answer is over the moon. I was very happy when I passed my exams. I was over the moon. So number 4, when I went to Luxor, I found it space. I really enjoyed my time there. If you enjoy your time, لو أنا استمتعت بوقتي, so how is it going to be? Boring, مملة, fascinating, amazing, ولا fascinated? طيب, here, what is the difference between fascinated and fascinating? Fascinated is an adjective that describes the person. بستخدم كلمة fascinated لما بوصف شخص. بقول Sarah was fascinated by what she had seen. Okay, but I use fascinating to describe the thing. So here, when I went to Luxor, I found it space. So is it fascinating or fascinated? Of course, it is fascinating. So that was the end of our episode for today. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.